football and some hoops. Starting with football, we're going to break down our way too early top 10 nationally and our SEC roster rankings. And then we'll dive into some of the big basketball games this week. So let's jump into our way too early top 10. Kevin, want to get us started off here?
Yeah, so I feel strongly about, I really feel strongly about the whole top 10. There's 9 teams I feel really confident about in this top 10. And so, again, we're just going rosters after the transfer portal. Number one, I have Texas. I have Texas number one. I really love their roster and what they've added. And I love how Manning finished the season. I think they're preseason number one. Two, I'm going to go Ohio State. They bring back a lot. They also bring back Julian Saying. Three, Dante Moore in Oregon. I think they bring back a lot also. And with DK Moore, he was injured. I think with what they have offensively and Moore coming back, they could be really good. I think any of those 3 teams could be a national title contention. Here's where I get the order could be changed in this next 3 to 4 teams. 4, I'm going to go Georgia. 5, Notre Dame. 6, LSU. 7, Indiana. 8, Miami. 9, Texas Tech. And 10 was the one that I wanted, didn't feel as confident about 10th team. So I took a team that I like some of the players they've got coming back. And that's BYU, obviously, with their schedule in that Big 12. I put BYU as 10th. Again, I really like the top 3. 4 to 7, I think you could intermingle those picks and swap them. I think Georgia, Notre Dame, Indiana, LSU. I had LSU 6. I think you could move those around. I like Miami 8th. And then Tech, I like in that 9th spot and BYU. I guess looking at it, that's the Big 12 at 9 and 10. So, but I've those first 6, and I'm including LSU in that first group of 6: Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, LSU. I think any of those teams, if you look at their roster, could win a national championship with the right breaks, the right injuries. You coach them up a little bit. I like those rosters the best. What's
I'll
your
jump. I'll jump in next. All right, for my top 10, I'll start at number 1. I got Georgia. I think Georgia brings back everybody. Didn't lose a lot in the portal. They didn't get a lot in the portal either, but they don't hit the portal like other teams do because Kirby does such a great job of evaluating, developing those kids that they seem to be in the thick of it every year without the portal. So it's working so far, and they've got a ton of talent coming back. That defense is going to be hell next year. So I got Georgia at 1. At number 2, I've got Ohio State. Just solid football team. You got Julian Sand, Bo Jackson, Jeremiah Smith, all coming back. And I thought they were the best team in the country until they lost. So, I really, I see a lot in Ohio State. At number 3, I've got Texas. I think this is the year that Arch Manning finally comes into his own as a quarterback. I'm not predicting Heisman or anything, but I think he's going to be a really solid quarterback, probably a first-round pick. And Texas is, got a roster loaded for bear. At 4, I've got Oregon, bringing Dante Moore back with that roster and the money that Phil Knight's willing to spend on them. They were in the thick of it this year again, so I like them at 4. Pardon me. At 5, I've got Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M and what Elko's doing there. They've got Marcel Reed coming back, who's going to be a Heisman dark horse. They're trying to solidify the defense, so we'll see how that turns out for them. And they're going to have to replace an offensive coordinator as well. So that's another question for them, not necessarily from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint. At 6, I've got Notre Dame. I know that their fan base thought that they were the national championships this year, and they probably claimed 3 or 4 different ones. All good. Freeman's got a lot coming back. They were playing well. I mean, they had won 10 in a row to end the year after losing the first 2. They've got a cupcake schedule, so they're going to make the playoff. They play absolutely nobody next year. They'll be fine. They'll be in the playoffs, so they'll be there. At 7, I've got Miami. and especially after the news of getting Darian Mensah and Duke and Mensah settling out of court. Cristobal, we'll see if he's able to strike gold in the portal with the quarterback twice. I think he does with Mensah. At number 8, I got Texas Tech. Still a good roster in not the toughest conference in the Big 12, but they're still paying money over there, and they're going to be there at the end as well. At number 9, I've got LSU. I love the roster. For me, it's just that you've got so many pieces coming together and that are all new to each other. I'm not convinced or too sure that they're going to be able to gel quickly. But if we can get through the earlier part, the first half of the schedule in good shape, I think the second half will come together and be really good. And at 10, I got Indiana. And I mean, they probably should be a little higher. Cignetti's proven twice that he could go to the portal and win. He got to a playoff in year 1 and a national championship in year 2. So betting against the man is a fool's proposition, and see all he does is win. So DMAC, where you going?
Yeah, so we're all going to have 9 teams in the top 10 that are the same. Your difference was A&M from Kevin, who had BYU, and I'm throwing a little bit of a dark horse in at 10. So number 1, I've got Texas. I think they're the best roster in college football. I've got Oregon at number 2. Like Dante Moore, like what Dan Lanning's doing there. Got Ohio State at 3. I just have, even though they're 3, I have the question of how they're replacing Hartline. 4, I've got Indiana. 5, I've got Georgia. 6, Notre Dame. 7, Texas Tech. 8, Miami. Got LSU at number 9. And then my dark horse, number 10, the Michigan Wolverines. I like Whittingham taking that job. I really wanted to put Texas A&M in this top 10 because of how big of a fan of Marcel Reed I am. But I've got questions on how their play calling is going to be next year. So, basically 1 through 9 was pretty similar for all of us, I think.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say I almost put Michigan 10. It was Michigan and BYU for me. I really like what Michigan has, and I think Underwood will make a big step under Whittingham and the OC that he brought. So I can definitely see that. A&M I thought about, but like we talked the other night with those question marks, I just think 8-4 will go back to 8-4, and 8-4 won't get you in the top 10. That's just where I went with A&M. But hey, there's talented. There's talent on that team.
Yeah, I looked at it. I mean, fortunately, none of us have any group of 5 teams in. When you said you had a dark horse, DMAC, I was like, oh Jesus, please don't pick one of those teams again. So good that you didn't do that. But I think all those teams. I think Michigan certainly could be a top 10. Whittingham is the Michigan man that isn't a Michigan man. I mean, Michigan man is supposed to be this fine, upstanding. I mean, nobody they've had there in recent history is anything near that. But Whittingham is actually that guy. He's a good guy. He's a solid football coach. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to fit right in the Big Ten. And that's actually a good dark horse pick. I think I didn't even think about that. So good call. Where are we going next?
Yeah, my other dark horse was going to be the UNLV Rebels at 10, but I thought that was a little bit of a stretch there.
Thank you for not putting that out there. God.
I know you like him, but come on.
Yeah, no, I mean Jackson Arnold though. He's going to rehab his career there. But no, I did a little top 25, and I don't have a power group of 5 team in my top 25. They're really the highest one would probably be around number 40. But we can roll into our SEC roster ranking. Sweets, want to get us started there?
Go ahead, Kev. I'm re-pulling mine up on the iPad.
All right. So I put them in groups, and I'll go A, the teams that I feel like if I was going to group their roster and give their rosters an A, I've got 3 teams: Texas, Georgia, LSU would all fit in an A as an A roster. And I would say the A roster would be the teams that I would predict that they would go 10 and 2 or better in their season. Now, a couple of these LSU's got a tough schedule, so 10-2 is going to be tough, but they have depth and they have good players. Then the next group I would go is a solid B, and this would be the group that I would say are 8-4, 9-3 type teams. I have Oklahoma, Aggie, Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee. Really see most of those teams in that 8-4 range with a ceiling of 9-3. Then the next 2 teams I think I would say are a B minus that with some breaks could go 8-4, but they're likely 7-5 type teams. I have 2 teams in this group, Florida and Missouri. I like their rosters. I just have different question marks. Florida's got a new staff, even though I do like their coaching staff and I love their offensive coordinator. In Missouri, I just question their DMAC. I know you're high on him, but to me, Lindsey's been kind of average over the years. So I can't. Even though I like Missouri's roster, I can't get them above 7-5 in my mind. So then the next group, I would say these rosters are solid C's, with one of them that might jump into that B minus group. And I'll cover that team, but this is my C group, and this is a 5-7, 6-6 group of teams. I have 5 of them: Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Auburn. Kentucky is the one team we talked about them that I really like the changes they've made. They might be a B minus roster with some breaks, but I really see this group as your 6-6 group. And then I have one team that I would just say it's a D minus roster, and I hate it for their fan base because I know their fan base is passionate about their sports, and it's very typical to LSU in that they're the only thing in the state, and that's Arkansas. I see them as a D roster at best, and I don't know. I don't know if I would even give them 4 wins next year. I guess I would go 4-8. So I've got 10-2 group, 8-4, 9-3 groups, 7-5 group, 6-6 in Arkansas with a 4-8 group. So that's kind of how I grouped my C's. So who wants to go next with their?
I'm ready. If I'll start at the bottom. Kev, I totally agree with you. Arkansas. Arkansas has the most work to do as far as roster talent goes in the SEC. They hired Ryan Silverfield from Memphis, who had some success there. I'm not sure how excited the booster, the deep pocket booster base is for that hire. And when he was hired at the end of the year, I think we'll find out next year what they think about him, because they're just not spending the money right now. And if you're going to be successful in college football, especially in the SEC, you better be spending a little money. At 15, I've got Mississippi State. They're up and coming. I just so many questions. I personally am not the biggest Blake Shapen fan, and I'm not the biggest Jeff Lebby fan either. So for me, Mississippi State is at 15. At 14, I've got Auburn. Auburn's got a new roster. I know, Kev, that was your team all last year. I just don't think that much of Auburn. They lost a lot on the offensive line. They lost quarterbacks. They lost their receiver room. They've just got a lot to replace there. I certainly think the Golish can come in. He's already got him a quarterback that he's familiar with. He can come in and do okay there, but it's going to be tough sledding for him early on. After that, I got South Carolina, led by Mr. all everything himself, Lenora Sellers, who just didn't do anything last year. I don't know if that was a combination of the talent around him, or if he just took a step back, or maybe he's just not as good as we all think he is. In any case, that's where I've got them falling at. After that, I've got Kentucky. Kentucky did a great job in the portal, landing Lance Hurd. They really got after it there. Impressed by Kentucky to step up and do that, and I think that they're certainly a team that's trending upward. And I Kenny Minchie's going to be one of my dark horses in the SEC at quarterback. I think he's going to do a really good job there if he can stay upright. After that, I've got Vanderbilt. They lose Diego Pavia, 5'9¾" Diego Pavia. They lost him. But as I said today to somebody who was talking about his height, I said, well, would he have beaten LSU by 20 if he was 6 foot? I mean, what difference does it make, right? He beat the hell out of us at 5'9". That's embarrassing. He's gone. So I think Vandy's going to take a step back, but Clark Lea's a hell of a coach, and I never, you can never discredit him for the job that he does. Pardon me. After that, I've got Florida. Florida's doing work. Summerall came in there and hit the ground running to try to get things going. He brought Buster Faulkner with him from Georgia Tech, and I think that was a great hire. And I think Florida's going to be all right there. After that, I've got Missouri with Drinkwitz. Since they've came into the SEC, they're always one of those teams that, they win a few and you're like, damn, and then they just do what they do and lose a few. They did have success early on in the East. I think they won their first and second year in the league. They won the SEC East for football and then really haven't, fully came over it after that. After that, I've got Ole Miss, Portal Pete, as they're calling him in Oxford. He did a good job in the portal. How much of it is legal? I don't know. Apparently, there are some allegations for the kid from Cal/Clemson, Luke Farrelly. So it'll be really interesting to see if anything comes of that, and if it does, what does happen. I mean, if Dabo has hard texts that they were texting him while he was in class and showing him numbers and stuff, something's got to be done about that, I'd assume. At number 6, I got Oklahoma. Oklahoma had a great year, made the playoff this year. And Venables, as I said the other night, did a hell of a job coaching. At 5, I've got Alabama. Just don't have that talent that they had when Saban was there, nor do they have the coaching. At 4, I got Texas A&M. Elko's done a good job recruiting. Texas A&M was willing to spend money, and they've got a solid roster. At 3, I've got LSU. Now, I think LSU has as talented a roster as anybody does. Again, for me, it's just the gelling and are they going to be able to bring that all together quickly as they're going to need to. Number 2, I've got Texas. Sark's bringing back Arch, Simmons on defense. These guys are loaded. They just need to not get tripped up. That's, and at number 1, I got Georgia. If I got them in the number 1 team in the nation, I can't have a better roster than them, right? So Georgia is my number 1 roster in the SEC. And if they can stay healthy, if they can keep Gunnar Stockton upright, I think Georgia's going to be there at the end. D-Mac?
Yeah, so I broke mine into 4 categories too, for teams that I think are going to be really good that should be in the playoffs. It's Texas, Georgia, LSU, and then I have a group that is good, and I think one of these teams, possibly 2, could play their way in, and that's Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Kind of like 8-4, 9-3, possibly with a good break, a 10-2 team. Then I have a group of 2, 4, 6 teams that I think can be bowl eligible, and that's Florida, Missouri, Vandy, Auburn, Kentucky, and then Mississippi State at 14. And I think I'm lower on South Carolina, obviously, than you guys, but I've got Carolina and Arkansas as 2 teams that I don't think become bowl eligible this year. South Carolina has really underperformed, and I don't think they just hit it out of the park with the transfer portal or the high school class. Lenore Sellers has all the talent in the world, but if he doesn't have people to throw to or guys to run, I think he has not great year. And then Arkansas is just Arkansas. I don't know how else to sum them up right now. brought in 43, 44 guys in the portal, big high school class too. So they've got like 60 new guys. And yeah, I think they're a better football team than they were last year, but I don't think it's enough to move them into bowl eligibility this season.
I mean,
Maybe if
nowhere to go. They were the worst in the league last year. There's nowhere to go but up. And I think, as you said, they picked up 40 something guys in the portal. I think they'll improve, but whether it's enough to get to 500 or even get to 5 wins, I haven't looked at their schedule. I was just taking a peek at that right now. But that'll be interesting to see how much that new staff is able to get done there. That's a good call.
If Arkansas struggles like we all predict, what's this do for Hunter Yurachek?
I missed it. If they struggle, what?
What's this do for Hunter Yurachek? I mean, I think personally he was lucky to make it through this year. I mean, I'll say it. I think if Arkansas is anything less than 6-6 in football next year, he will be out as the athletic director.
Yeah, I mean, they've been all right in basketball, and they've had solid baseball. I don't know about the track programs or some of the other sports, but boy, football's been rough, and that's usually the one that drives the cart. So, what do you think, DMAC?
I would say if they're looking at a 3-9, 4-8 season, AD may be a job opening up in Fayetteville.
I would agree.
So this is going to bring us to some college hoops now. This is our first time really talking about basketball this year, and we are going to dive right in with Texas and Auburn. So I will get that one started. Auburn sitting at 13-7, 4-3 in the SEC. Texas is 12-8, 3-4 in the SEC. Auburn's got Stephen Pearl as their head coach now. And, my favorite player on their team is Keyshawn Hall, a guy they got out of the transfer portal who's averaging 20 points a game, almost 8 boards a game. Pettifor is averaging 14. They're playing 6 guys about 25 minutes a game. They don't really have, I guess Pettiford is their best assist guy, averaging about 3 a game. Yeah, I'll talk about Texas for a minute. Dalen Swain is averaging 17 points and 7 rebounds a game, along with almost 4 assists. Matas, I'm not even gonna say his last name. It's something from Lithuania. He's 7-foot guy, sophomore. I wonder how old he is coming from over there, but I'll leave that alone for now. He's averaging 15 points a game and 7 boards. This game's being played in Auburn. I think the physicality of Auburn or of Texas matches up pretty well with Auburn, with some of the guys they have who can go and get rebounds. This is the first time they're playing this season. Longhorns are struggling a little bit, but I'm gonna make a little bit of a bold prediction that Texas gets it done on the road this week. Auburn's coming off a big win this past weekend. They're really good at home, 8-1 this season. But I just think Texas is going to be able to bang down low a little bit more than Auburn's going to be able to. I think Keyshawn Hall's still going to have a good game for Auburn, but I think as a team, Texas can do a little bit more on the defensive side and the rebounding side. Any thoughts on that game, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I really like Auburn in this game. I think Auburn kind of got off to a challenging start. They played a really tough schedule early. Um, Played Houston and some other top 10 teams. So I feel like they were really tested early, lost some of those games close, but played competitive games. But I think they're starting to play better. They had a big win at Florida on the road. At the time, Florida was 5-1 in the SEC and was atop the SEC. That was this past weekend. So I like the way Auburn is trending. I think Pearl's getting his feet under him, as a head coach now. And there is no place tougher to play on the road than at Auburn. So I really like Auburn in that game. I think they'll come out, um, play well defensively, and I honestly think they'll win that game by 10 going away. That's just my opinion.
I'm with you, Kev. I actually like Auburn in this game. I think they're starting to come into their own. I think Pearl's starting to get his footing a little bit, and they always challenge themselves, or at least under Pearl, they always challenge themselves in the preseason and try to get some good competition in there to see what they've got. Talent wise, with Keyshawn Hall, Tashad Pettiford, they got a lot of talent over there. Just it's just a matter of getting under the new coach, because just because he's his son, don't mean they coach the same style the same way. They don't, and he's certainly not his daddy. Now he may be better one day, but as of today, he's not. But he's starting to get a feel for it. You can see his rotation starting to become a little more concise and whatnot. So yeah, I like Auburn. I like Auburn in this one. May have to side wager this one, DMAC.
So that brings us to Michigan State. What are your thoughts on this one, Sweets?
Top 10 mashup. Michigan is 8. Michigan State is 8. Michigan is number 2. Big matchup Friday night in East Lansing. Michigan State is a small favorite because they're at home. But it's going to be a hell of a game. Michigan's led by say this fast 3 times: the Axel Lindenborg, who's averaging 14.4 points a game and 7.2 rebounds, along with 3.2 assists. Marez Johnson Jr. is at 13 points, 6 points a game at forward, and center Ade Mara is averaging 10.9 points a game, along with 7.1 rebounds. Michigan's got a lot of talent there. They're playing strong defense. Michigan State's playing just as strong a defense too. Michigan State gives up an average of 89.3 points per 100 possessions, which is near tops in the country. They're led by point guard Jeremy Fears Jr., who's averaging 13.4 points a game, along with 8.8 assists and 2.6 rebounds. And he's leading Izzo to he's an Izzo type point guard. Reminds me of oh God, I'm seeing him. He won a national championship. The little point guard. Help me out here, guys.
Mateen Cleaves, maybe?
No.
He was the
Then
point guard.
he got drafted by the Hawks. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. And that's who he reminds me of. That's the type of leader he is. So this should be a really good game this weekend up there. And I think that the Spartans knock off the Wolverines at home. What are your thoughts on the game, DMAC?
Yeah, did you take Michigan State at home?
I did. Mateen Cleaves was the point guard.
Jeez, how long ago was that?
Listen, I'm slow, but
years ago. That's who I had there. It's probably been 10, 15 years. But
yeah,
DMAC,
you were still shitting green then, if you were even alive.
If it was only 10 years ago, I would have been 20 almost.
I think it was a little longer than 10, but yeah, that was him, Mateen Cleaves.
So I'm going the opposite way here. I'm taking the Wolverines. And as I'm saying this, Michigan State, actually both of these teams are down right now in basketball games they're playing. Michigan shoots it a little bit better. They're shooting 52% from the field, and they're just slightly out rebounding Michigan State, which when teams are pretty competitive, I lean to the slight rebound edge, even though it is in East Lansing. Give me the Wolverines in this one. Who do you like, Kevin?
So one, I love the coaching matchup. You've got Izzo, who is as good as there is and been around, Hall of Fame coach. And then from a newcomer standpoint, over the last 5 years, Dusty May's been as good as any young coach. And so I really love the coaching matchup. Great rivalry. But in this matchup, I just I don't ever bet against Izzo on his home court in a big game. Over the years, you just don't. If you do, you're going to lose. So if this was a neutral court game, I would take Michigan. I think Michigan's the better team, but on their home court, I got to go Michigan State in a close game that would be. If you're going to watch a game, there's a lot of good games this weekend. Let me say that, but this would be in the top 3 games to watch this weekend, in my opinion. It'd be a great game. I think this could be like an 82-80 final that Michigan State just guts out and plays well and wins.
So that brings us to BYU at Kansas on Saturday. Get us started on that one, Kevin.
So, man, the headliner in this game, you got 2 freshmen that either one could be the lottery, the number 1 pick in the lottery next year in the NBA. So if you want to watch the future NBA, not just future NBA players, these guys are future NBA All-Stars. AJ DeBancha from BYU and Darren Patterson from Kansas. Depending on who you talk to, one's number 1, and you talk to someone else, and they'll be the other one's number 1. DeBancha's averaging 23.6. Patterson is averaging 21.6. Patterson's been hurt for Kansas at times this year, but he's back playing, and he's solid, and he's in a good place. So really like the matchup there. And this is 2 good teams. BYU 17-3, Kansas is 15-5. Kansas has won 4 games in a row, and playing well. They were 11-5 at one point, and Bill Self is as good a coach as there is in college basketball. I mentioned Izzo a minute ago, and you give Bill Self a good point guard, and he will have a good quality team. He's got some other teams also or other players contributing. Trey White's averaging right at 15 points a game. And Debinga is playing well inside. So I like what Kansas is doing there. Kansas is averaging 86 points a game, BYU 78. So that's the biggest gap. Defensively, BYU gives up 70, Kansas 67. They're close there. Rebounds, one averages 40, BYU does. Kansas 39, and assists, one's 15.2 and 15.3. So again, I'm going to take the team on the home court, and the team that's playing the hottest right now, and that's Kansas. I like Kansas to win this game, and honestly, I think they'll win it by 6 or 8. Both teams are 5-2 in the Big 12, and obviously playing to be at that top 2 or 3 in the league. And I think at the end of the season, these are 2 top 10 teams. I'll say that, and I think you're going to continue to see both teams play very, very well. And but I would take Kansas in this game. Your all's thoughts?
Go ahead, D-Mac.
Yeah, I'm I'm going with the Mormons in this one on the road. I am picking some road teams here, and their coach is great too. Obviously, I'm kind of picking against the Hall of Fame coaches this week. But the Debanza kid, man, I love the way that he plays. He's leading the entire country in points per game at 23.5. BYU is coming off a little bit of a tough stretch where they've lost their last 2 out of 3, but I think they get things right over in Lawrence this weekend. So give me BYU to pull off an upset. What about you, Sweets?
You know what? I BYU beat Kansas so badly last year that I think Kansas has had this game circled for about 12 months, and they're going to be in Lawrence this weekend. I think Kansas got a little revenge on them, and I think BYU beat them like by 35 or 40 last year. I'll look real quick, but give me Kansas in the revenge game at home over BYU. But like Kev said, both these teams are playing good ball right now. and they're both going to be there and talked about come March Madness for sure.
I think you're right. Towards the end of the season, they did beat them very handily last year. Look, both these
91
teams also are very good at playing.
91-57.
Yeah, yeah, they just rolled over 'em. Both these teams are both very good at playing 5-out offense, and that's another reason to watch this game. It's going to be a very fluid game where you're going to see offenses play well.
That brings us to Auburn and Tennessee. Sweets, what do you think of this one?
Should be a great SEC matchup here. Auburn led by Keyshawn Hall, who we spoke about earlier in the Auburn-Texas game, and Tennessee superstar Jacoby Gillespie leading Tennessee scoring. Both these teams are playing great defense. Should be a low-scoring game. Both top rebound. Tennessee, I think, is one of the top rebounding teams in the country, and doing well. They're Jesus, sorry. They're trying to keep things together for Coach Rick Barnes, who I think has done a fantastic job up there on Rocky Top. They've been solid ever since he's gotten there. Have kept the recruiting steady. Tennessee also has Nate Amont and Jalen Curry, respectively, who are playing good ball for him. And Bishop Boswell is starting to come around a little bit at guard, too. He's only averaging 6 points a game and 4.4 boards and a couple assists, but he's starting to come around a little bit as well. So I expect a good game up there this weekend. I don't know if I had to bet on it, I would probably go ahead and take Tennessee. I like the way Gillespie's playing right now. They're playing good ball, and it's January, so Barnes has got them rolling. March it changes up a little bit, but right now he gets those wins. So give me Tennessee in a close game, but yeah, I like the matchup. Kev, what's your thoughts?
I like Tennessee and what Nate Amont's doing. He's coming on. They played on the road at Bama the other day and won a close game, and he had 29. So I think again, we've already mentioned 2 freshmen. I think Amont is right in that group with DeBoncha and Patterson as far as the best freshmen. And then, again, we've talked about coaches, and I love Izzo, I love Self, but I think maybe one of the most underrated coaches in college basketball is Rick Barnes. I mean, he'll redo a complete roster like he had to this year. And there's a couple things that you will always see out of his teams. One, they will play aggressive defense. 2, they are mentally tough, and they handle the ball, get good shots, and they're always physical. And 3, they win. And again, he's another coach that gets really good point guard play year in, year out, no matter who he has. So I like Barnes. I like Tennessee. I think they win this game. And I could watch Rick Barnes' team play every weekend. I like the way he coaches.
Yeah, so I have a tough time rooting for Tennessee baseball, especially. I can't root for their football team either, but I do like Rick Barnes. So I think he could potentially be a Hall of Fame coach down the road. And I've been picking against these Hall of Fame coaches, but I am going to take Rocky Top at home this week. If Auburn struggles with my prediction and loses 2 this week, I still think they're probably a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament, maybe a 6. But Tennessee's playing really good basketball right now. I loved what they did against Alabama over the weekend. You want to play a G League guy, doesn't matter. We're going to go and beat you guys on your home court. And anytime somebody beats Nate Oates, I'm even more excited. There's that. So yeah, I like Tennessee this week. So that brings us to Kentucky and Arkansas. Kevin, what do you have on this game?
Man, I love this game, and I'll get to this. Let me add one more thing that I totally agree with you, and we can start the campaign now. Rick Barnes should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll just leave it at that. Now let's go to Arkansas and Kentucky. So, really, this is Calipari against Kentucky. It was a huge game on the schedule last year. At the time they played last year, Arkansas was struggling a little bit. Kentucky was, off to a really good season, and Arkansas went into Kentucky and beat them, and then made it to the Sweet 16. Almost got to the Final Eight. And Calipari got his team rolling. Nothing hurt Kentucky's fans more last year than to see Calipari step on their home court and beat them. They were at a point when he left Kentucky that they were happy to see him leave. So to me, this game is a huge game. It's in Bud Walton. It's in Fayetteville this year. And just as big as it was to Kentucky fans last year, this game is huge for Arkansas fans. They love to beat Kentucky in basketball. And it brings this game and this coaching matchup that's current brings back the matchup of Nolan Richardson and Rick Pitino back in the 90s, where these two teams really battled in the SEC and were constant top 10 teams. So it's a huge game for both teams. Kentucky's 14-6, played a little better recently. Arkansas is 15-5. Arkansas is one of the higher scoring teams in the country, highest scoring team in the SEC, averaging 89.6. That being said, they also give up points. One of the bottom teams defensively in the SEC, they give up 77 points. They're 15th in three-point defense. And the interesting part of that in this game is Kentucky is a really good three-point shooting team. So, that part really I think will be interesting. Can Kentucky take advantage of that? Kentucky, they're led by Otega Owa, who some felt was a preseason all SEC and maybe even an SEC MVP. He's playing well, 16.1, but has not been kind of what they thought. Malachi Marino, Denzel Aberdeen are also good players for them that are freshmen. You flip it on the other side. Arkansas's got a very deep team led by Darius Acuff, their point guard, who's really been good this year at 19.8. You could throw him into that outstanding freshman group. And then they also have Malik Thomas, another freshman that's averaging 15.2. And then Trevon Brazile, fifth-year senior, that's averaging almost 13 a game for them. That's plays inside, plays kind of a perimeter four type player. Well, not kind of, he is a perimeter four type player. So really good athletic teams, and they're going to go up and down. Again, mentioned how well Arkansas scores, and they give up points. And Kentucky will be willing to go up and down and shoot the three with them. I just think this atmosphere, though, in Bud Walton and how big this game is for Arkansas fans and Calipari. And I just think Arkansas so far overall in the year has played better so far than Kentucky, even though their records are similar. I think Arkansas will win this game, and I really think they'll win the game by 10. I think, Arkansas really kind of skated by LSU the other night and only won that game by 4, which was surprising. But Arkansas gives their best effort in this game. This is a big game for them. It's a big game for their coach. I think Calipari will go to 2-0 at Arkansas against Kentucky again, and he will give Kentucky fans plenty to grind their teeth about. And Arkansas comes away with a win here. What's your guys' thoughts?
I agree with you. I like Arkansas in this game. I think that they're going to be able to impose their will. It's going to come down to me. It's Arkansas is they're a transition team. They're moving up and down the court, and Kentucky's more disciplined. Play a little bit more of a half court style. I think that Arkansas will win out because they will make Kentucky play their game more so than the other way around. It seems that college basketball is the one sport where you can bend your opponent's will to fit your games. And the thing about that is, more often than not, those teams that are running up and down the court, as guys who play basketball, that's what they want to do more often than not, is run up and down the court. So when you can draw another team into your style of game, which Arkansas is able to do, I think that gives them the advantage in this game. D-Mac?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like Arkansas in this one. Love Coach Cal. I think playing at home's a big advantage. I don't know how the weather's going to be in Fayetteville this weekend. I know that doesn't have anything to do with the game being played, but I know that when LSU was up there this past weekend, a lot of season ticket holders did not make it to the game. So what they did was athletics from Arkansas reached out and said, "Hey, are you coming to the game? If you're not, send us your tickets, and we're going to pack the arena with students." So all the students who were snowed in, couldn't leave, were in the arena. So really packed, fun for the students this past weekend. I'm sure they hope that weather's a little bit better so they can get their season ticket holders there. But I think either way, it's going to be rocking in Fayetteville this weekend. I think Cal gets the job done. Kentucky's playing better. They've won 5 straight. Couple of really close games there, though, that Kentucky's pulled off, and I think the luck runs out a little bit, and Arkansas gets a big win at home this week.
It is going to be cool weather again there with them this weekend, but trust me, their fans will be there for this game.
Yeah, I know we've talked about their AD a little bit in the football segment, but that was probably outside of hiring Coach Cal, giving the students tickets who were stuck on campus may be his second best move as AD there. And I know that may not trend well for keeping your job. That's your second best, but that was a good move.
Man,
It was a good move.
sometimes you just got to find a positive, and that was as positive as it gets. So good for him. Good for him. I guess
And
go ahead.
Cal was a good hire, but I think most Arkansas fans give the credit for that hire to Johnny Tyson, not necessarily Hunter Yurachek.
I mean, get her done. Get
That's
her done.
right.
Why the Tyson Dino Nuggets have gone up in the last couple
I'll
of
tell
years.
you what.
Nice.
That's right.
Talk about I didn't know I was
Gotta
I
stick to that
forgot I was
$20 million
supporting Arkansas
roster.
basketball every time I dip one of those things, right?
So that brings us to our last game, a little West Coast late night game on Saturday at 9:30. It is Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Gonzaga's 21-1 this year. St. Mary's is 19-3. St. Mary's plays a much different style of basketball. They don't score nearly as much as Gonzaga, who's averaging 89 points a game, to St. Mary's 78 points a game. Both are really good defensive teams. Gonzaga's given up 66 and a half. St. Mary's has given up 64 and a half. The little ESPN tracker gives St. Mary's a 12.3% chance to win. And while I think they're a good team, this Gonzaga team is on a whole nother level this year, led by Graham Ike, averaging 18 points a game, 9 boards a game. They've got another really talented forward in Braden Huff, who's averaging almost 18 points a game and 6 boards. Gonzaga only has 3 guys in double digits in the scoring category, but they've got a plethora of guys scoring between 6 and 9 points a game. So I love Gonzaga here. Really good defensive team. They're scoring the ball really well. So I'm going to lean Gonzaga, probably pretty heavy in this one. St. Mary's is sticking around at 19-3 on the season. But I think Gonzaga's too good. Number 6 in the country. They're without a doubt a top 10 team this year and will be when it gets to March Madness. So give me the Bulldogs this week. Who do you like, Sweets?
You know what? This is going to sound like I just switched the team names and fed the same rhetoric, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. Gonzaga is a team that likes to get up and run, move the ball up and down the court, play a little bit quicker pace pace of play, whereas St. Mary's under Randy Bennett, they're more of a defensive team. They slow things down and try to play half court ball. Again, these kids all at heart, everybody wants to run up and down the court and play. It's just what basketball players want to do. Give me Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga is the better team, but I also think that they're going to make St. Mary's play their style, and Gonzaga is going to win the game easily, in my opinion. Where we go next, Kev?
Yeah, just one quick point on this game is, I would agree with you guys on Gonzaga, but I also love how Bennett and St. Mary's play. They're kind of the antithesis for up-tempo basketball. They always play very patiently on offense and great defense, and they're really good offensive efficiency. The game's in Spokane, so I'll take Gonzaga, but later in the year when they play at St. Mary's, I might view this game totally different. There's no better coach as far as getting the most out of their talent than what Bennett gets at St. Mary's.
He does a good job there for sure.
Yeah, I think St. Mary's is going to be a, March Madness team for sure. Just the at-home atmosphere for Gonzaga, I think is going to be really big for them. So this wraps up our basketball section. Any other thoughts, Sweets? Basketball, football, anything?
No, just looking forward to some good games this weekend and in the coming weeks. We're deep into the SEC schedule now, so there are going to be some big matchups coming up, and teams are starting to show you who they are right now. Arkansas, Kentucky, like I said, this is going to be a fantastic game. Tennessee, Auburn has been for the past 5 years that's been the game every year almost. So some good ball this week. It's going to be fun to watch. Kev?
Yeah, I think Saturday, you got a chance to watch Michigan State. You get a chance to watch Kansas, BYU, and then Arkansas, Kentucky. Great basketball games to watch. Great weekend for hoops.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Great weekend of hoops action. The next month and a half is going to be really good basketball to watch. So excited about that, and we're inching closer and closer to baseball season too, guys. I can't leave that out.
That is right.
So well, that's a wrap for Southern Sports Gumbo tonight. We will see you guys later in the week. Continue to like, follow, subscribe. And do all that stuff, and we appreciate you guys listening to us. Have a good